What's going on, everybody? Marvel the Cross 316 back with another comic book flashback. And today, y'all, we are looking at X-Men issue number 15. This issue was released in October of 1965, and the cover date is December of 1965. And we see in this issue that the X-Men are going to be going up against the Sentinels here. We are continuing the storyline here as we saw the first appearance of the Sentinels last issue, and we're going to see the first appearance of the Mastermold in this issue. And we're also going to see some new details about the origin story of the Beast. So you definitely do not want to turn away from this video, and definitely don't click away from this video because we're going to be looking at a really cool story here, a classic story. And so let's go ahead and get started. The title of this is Prisoners of the Mysterious Mastermold. And this is brought to you by Stan Lee, who wrote this issue, and Jack Kirby on the penciling. Jay Gavin also is helping out with the penciling, and Dick Ayers, the inking, Artie Simek on the lettering page. And so we left off on quite a bit of a cliffhanger. The X-Men had just revealed the hidden fortress of the Sentinels, and the Sentinels have also basically taken Dr. Bolivar Trask as prisoner. And Dr. Bolivar Trask, if you don't remember, he is the creator of the Sentinels, and he created the Sentinels to basically hunt down mutants and kill them. And so we're going to be seeing in this issue the X-Men are going to confront the Sentinels here in their hidden fortress. But right now, they are being attacked by the Sentinels, and they got to find a way to save themselves. Especially, they're concerned about the safety of Professor Xavier, as he's only a man in a wheelchair. But Professor Xavier keeps telling the X-Men, don't worry about me. You need to save yourselves. Every moment that you wait is going to bring you into more danger. And so we see all of the X-Men here are going to be using their powers to help themselves, but the Angel comes and saves Professor Xavier from falling. And we see the Beast is also going to lend a hand to ask, hey, I just want to help a damsel in distress, but Marvel Girl here says, I don't need any assistance. I can use my own telekinetic powers to levitate. And so that's what Marvel Girl does. We see Iceman creates a little bit of a ice pole here to climb up. He says, wouldn't be a great thing if we were firemen, but Cyclops, being the leader, is not in the mood for any jokes. He's here to stop the Sentinels and be the leader of the X-Men, the leader that Professor Xavier thinks that he and trust, who is supposed to be the leader of the X-Men. So we see all of these rays are being shot out at the X-Men here. And so now Professor Xavier is saying, basically what we need to do is, Iceman, you need to look for the weak spot in this fortress. And so you need to create a chasm. So he creates this ice glider that him and Beast are going to get on. And they're going to use the optic blast of Cyclops to ricochet this really big ice glider here that Iceman had just created. And so we see that Cyclops lowers his beams here because from his eyes are going to be this humongous lightning bolt of a optic blast that comes out of his eyes. Some of the most powerful rays in existence here comes right out of Cyclops' eyes here, and it's going to zap Iceman's glider into the air. And then Professor Xavier says to Angel that he needs to accompany them in case that they need his assistance. And of course they do, because Iceman's glider was not really made aerodynamically accurate, as the Beast points out here. So the Angel is going to save them when all of a sudden these two tentacle arms come out and they snare both the Beast and Iceman. And both Beast and Iceman are unfortunately going to be brought into this fortress where the Sentinels are at, and they're going to be captured here. And so now Angel is going to have to go back and tell the other X-Men exactly what just happened, and he just so happened to get out of there without being blasted by this heat wave of fire that comes out of the fortress. And we see here that the tentacle arms are going to place both Beast and Iceman inside this sliding glass cubicle. And then on top of that, we see this sleep gas goes off inside the cubicle. And all of this is going on while Mastermold is in charge here. He's the one that's in charge of this fortress, and he's the one that is basically trying to rule the world. As we're going to find out here, we see Bolivar Trask is starting to realize that he's made a terrible mistake, that he's created these monsters who were supposed to go and destroy the mutants, but instead the Sentinels have turned against Bolivar Trask. They've made him a prisoner, and now they're going to bring Bolivar Trask to the Mastermold, and this is where we are introduced to the Mastermold here. He's this gigantic Sentinel, and he basically says, I have summoned you to serve me. Though you have given me the power, I do not possess the knowledge to create other Sentinels. And so that is what the Mastermold wants Bolivar Trask to do, is to create more Sentinels so that there to be an army of Sentinels to destroy mankind. But he's like, I can't do that. That would put mankind at risk. But he says, my Sentinels and I are not human. We have no feelings, no emotions. We are capable of anything. But first, before I destroy the X-Men, I must study them. And the first X-Men that we're going to find is the Beast. He's going to study the Beast in this comic book. Well, we see here that Angel's going to return to Cyclops, Jean Grey, and Professor X and relay what has just happened. He tells them that the Beast and Iceman have been captured. And so now Professor Xavier has to use his mental energies here to strike down a few of these Sentinels with this blast of energy here from his own powers here. So we see here he uses his mental ability here to basically stop these three or four Sentinels, and they just collapse to the ground. Well, this gets the attention of the Sentinels here who have not been affected by Professor Xavier's power here. He says, this is passing strange. They have been affected by some unknown outside source. Our repel guns and rays must be attended. So not only did that knock out these Sentinels, but it stopped the ray guns from blasting the X-Men. Then they gather the Beast, and he's going to be summoned to the Mastermold so that the Mastermold can study him. And he's placed under this probe here, this psycho probe, and it's going to cause the Beast to reveal everything about himself. He reveals that he's the Beast, he serves the X-Men, his mission is to protect mankind from evil mutants. And we see Bolivar Trask is like, wow, I'm so wrong. They've been here to protect humanity this whole time. How foolish can I be? Well, we see the remaining X-Men members are now going to go inside this fortress here. Cyclops takes care of this remaining ray gun here with his optic blast. They go inside the fortress. They recognize that these three Sentinels have been knocked out thanks to Professor Xavier. And then another Sentinel comes and he summons them to follow him to the Mastermold because he has not been programmed to attack other mutants. And so the X-Men are going to follow very closely but carefully here. And we see that the Beast is going to now reveal more information about himself. We see a little bit of the Beast's childhood. As he grew up, he was bullied by his classmates because of the way he looked, and he had this keen ability to leap out of danger. He basically functioned like an actual, gorilla, because he had the ability to jump around, and he even evaded this car from crashing into him. Well, we see now this Sentinel comes and alerts the other Sentinels about the presence of the X-Men, so they're going to follow him. And we see that while the X-Men are following this Sentinel, they come across Iceman in that cubicle, and we see that Cyclops is going to go rescue Iceman. The Sentinel says, "Stop. I ordered you to follow me." And this is where Jean Grey and the Angel are going to go and attack this Sentinel and take him down. Cyclops releases Iceman from that cubicle, rescues him, asks, "Where's the Beast?" He can't remember. When all of a sudden they hear these clanging bells, and it comes to find out here that now the entire crew of Sentinels are going to be going after the remaining X-Men, while this probe continues to reveal more information about who the Beast is and who his leader ends up becoming. And so we see that the Beast gives the moniker to his name because of what happened in this championship game, in the football game, where he basically was hanging on the field goal post with his feet like a gorilla, and that's how he got his name. And Professor Xavier was able to locate the Beast because of the newspaper that was published about him. He visits the McCoys, and he tells both of his parents that he wants to train Hank McCoy and help him to harness his powers. Well, all of this information is being brought out, and it's getting dangerously too close to revealing who the X-Men are working for. It's going to reveal who Professor Xavier is, so Professor Xavier has to put a stop to this, so he lets forth his astral image, and when he finally gets into that fortress, he is going to put an end to this talking of the Beast and stop the probe from affecting him from revealing more information. Mastermold realizes that the Beast is not revealing any more information, and he also notices an unknown enemy who's probing his own electrical wiring because Professor Xavier is looking to attack Mastermold. But we see here that Mastermold lets forth a bunch of microelectric blasts from his fingertips, causing Professor Xavier to be very weak. And if he doesn't get back to his physical form, Professor Xavier will be left in a trance forever. Well, now we see here that the Sentinels are going to be going after the X-Men, and they're going to have one heck of a time to stop them. Well, Cyclops tells Iceman, "Go ahead and set up this ice barricade so that the Sentinels will not be able to get through." But we see that even these Sentinels have a way of determining how to break through even a ice brigade here. And so that's what happens here. But we see Cyclops is going to strike down one Sentinel, while the others are unfortunately going to undergo the falling here as they fall back down to the ground, because we see the Sentinel is going to press a button on his chest plate, causing them to fall down to the ground. It's a gravity ray that he just put forth. And so now we see that the X-Men are now helpless before the Sentinels and Mastermold, including Bolivar Trask. And that's where we're going to end off on this issue, as he has been commanded to create more Sentinels so that the Sentinels will rule the world. And so what is going to happen coming up next? That's what we have to figure out. We're going to witness the creation of a Sentinel next issue, as well as one of the most thrilling story endings you'll ever know, that you'll ever grasp. And so you definitely do not want to miss out next issue in issue number 16, as we are going to see the conclusion to this storyline. And how in the world are the X-Men going to get out of this one? We will find all that out in issue number 16. I hope to see you there. So go ahead now and drop a like on this video, and I will see y'all in the next one.